Welcome to the American Rabbit Breeders' 100th Convention and Show. In the next few minutes, you will be transported back to the humble beginnings of the American Rabbit Breeders Association. This organization, consisting of over 20,000 members, is dedicated to supporting the exhibition, promotion, care, and registration system for the focus of this 100th Best in Show ceremony, the domestic rabbit and cavy. These animals are the reason we are all gathered here today. But first, a brief side trip to the unusual events that brought rabbits to the attention of the American public all the way back in 1898. It's important to note that there was not an all-breed association prior to 1910, and that most rabbits in the US were children's pets. Belgian hares were created in Europe by selectively breeding domestic rabbits with wild European rabbits. They were introduced in the US in 1888 and quickly gained popularity, commanding high prices. They were showcased at specialty shows and even exhibited by P.T. Barnum in Madison Square Gardens. The 1901 Belgian hare boom ended as supply exceeded demand. It led to showcasing new breeds and the creation of the first all-breed rabbit association in the U.S. In 1910, Charles Gibson and 13 small animal enthusiasts formed the National Pet Stock Association of America in Detroit, Michigan. The association included pets such as rabbits, guinea pigs, mice, and skunks. Also present at this initial meeting was Oscar Sennewald, who was 10 years old at the time and remained a member of the association until his death in 1991. In a relatively short time, it became apparent that the primary focus of the Pet Stock Association was on breeding and exhibiting rabbits and cavies. As a result, in 1981, the name was changed to the National Breeders and Fanciers Association of America, the NBFAA. In 1919, due to conflict among members, the NBFAA split into two associations, the Old National and the New National. In 1923, the New National's company logo featured the slogan, "Rabbits for meat, rabbits for fur," marking a shift towards commercial rabbit farming. In 1924, the rift between clubs was mended, and the two merged and changed their name to the American Rabbit and Cavy Breeders Association, the AR and CBA. In 1925, AR and CBA merged and grew under Secretary Arthur Weygandt's leadership. Weygandt established the national office in his Chicago home, designed the rabbit meat logo, and created a guidebook. He served as secretary for 20 years, but retired in 1943 due to a paralytic stroke. Annual conventions were held during those early years, with one of the first being held in 1918 in Chicago. From 1926 onward, conventions became truly national and began to be held in locations throughout the U.S. The early rabbit-raising industry had a commercial focus, with ads for large rabbitries, filling journals. A magazine called Outdoor Enterprise by Edward Stahl was one of the first rabbit magazines. A backyard rabbitry industry also emerged to meet the rabbits for the family table demand. Businesses supported this trend by selling cages, crocks, rabbits, and rabbit medicine. The U.S. Department of Agriculture also promoted rabbits as a healthy source of meat, as well as for fur and laboratory use. Edward Stahl held many offices in the AR and CBA from the late 20s into the 30s. He had the largest commercial rabbitry in the U.S., having large operations in Missouri and New York. He also developed the giant chinchilla breed. After World War I, rabbit farms were profitable in the U.S., and Americans consumed a lot of rabbit meat. Now, rabbit meat is mostly consumed at high-end restaurants. Post-war, wearing fur was common, unlike today. The first Best in Show presentation occurred at the Chicago Convention in 1932, where Edward Stahl won with his giant chinchilla. There was a disagreement among some of the exhibitors about the winner, reportedly resulting in a fistfight. A Best in Show was not held again until 1971. In 1948, with the help of donations from members and local rabbit clubs, the first national headquarters was purchased for $15,500 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. National conventions were not held during a few of the World War II years, for 1942, 1944, and 1945. James M. Blythe served as ARBA's secretary from 1946 to 1972. During his tenure, he oversaw the establishment of many uniquely American rabbit breeds, such as New Zealand, Palomino, and Satin. In 1954, ARBA changed its name from AR and CBA and dropped the word cavy from its name. It was the focus on the rabbits with their meat and fur that led the decision-makers at the time to drop the word cavy, although they remained a part of the organization. With the retirement of James Blythe in 1972, Ed Pfeiffer was recruited as secretary, and the association headquarters moved to his hometown of Bloomington, Illinois. Under his tenure, the association membership grew to 33,000, and the number of sanctioned shows increased exponentially. Association activities were modernized into the computer age with the printing of promotional materials done in-house. The first domestic rabbit magazine was launched in 1973 by editor Bob Bennett, replacing the ARBA Bulletin. Best in Show returned in 1971 with the Silver Martin receiving the honor, exhibited by Ellsworth Tibbets. In 1974, the KV Best in Show program was added, and Don and Elaine Kirk won with an American. In the 70s, ARBA's youth membership program, implemented under President Orrin Reynolds, drove a significant increase in membership. Youth members had adult privileges except voting, and enjoyed expanded programs like the royalty contest and team competitions. This marked a major milestone in ARBA's history by emphasizing the importance of involving youth in hobbies and activities. In the 70s and 80s, new fancy rabbit breeds like Netherland Dwarf, Holland Lop, Mini Lop, and Mini Rex were introduced. These smaller breeds attracted a new wave of enthusiasts to ARBA, including women and youth exhibitors previously underrepresented in the adult male-dominated hobby. In the mid-80s, Secretary Glenn Carr and President Dr. T.E. Reed boosted membership to an all-time high. Carr served as secretary, or what we now know as the executive director, for 22 years, overseeing the implementation of computerized systems for membership management and standardized remark cards. In 1986, the Standard of Perfection was published for the first time with color pictures. The ARBA Hall of Fame Library was established in Bloomington, Illinois during the 1990s. It was created by the Library Committee, led by Ellie Bondi, to preserve our history. The library's resources have been expertly organized and preserved to educate rabbit enthusiasts. The images in this video were sourced from the library's archives. The present-day library in Knox, Pennsylvania is a beautiful place to explore our hobby's history. The 2008 ARBA convention in Louisville, Kentucky hosted a whopping 23,076 rabbits and cavies, beating the previous record by a few thousand. The Best in Show program became a spectacle in the 90s to 2000s, with grand stage productions showcasing the winners. Ebert Fibber McGehee holds the record for most Best in Show wins, 4 times. Tex Thomas, Bagby, and Zellin each won 3 times. Peggy Fry won 4 consecutive Best in Show cavie awards in the early 80s, with alternating silky and Peruvian cavies. Our roots are incomplete without our passion, rabbits and cavies. They grace our magazines, social media, and are the standard of perfection. Best in Show rabbits were not regularly picked until 1971. Eric Stewart, ARBA's executive director for 14 years, along with ARBA presidents of the most recent decades, have made significant strides in the digital age with the ARBA app, webpage, and a digital standard of perfection. For the exhibitor, there is now online show entry, computerized pedigrees, and herd management. Social media platforms have also been established for networking and recognizing show accomplishments. Eric Stewart helped select and acquire the association's 4th headquarters in Knox, Pennsylvania, a beautifully restored former general store in the 1890s. Today, it's the ARBA Museum and Library, containing mementos and displays that tell the story of the rabbit and cavie hobby. Edward Stahl is quoted as saying, "From the beginning, we have had those individuals who have become known as the faithful few. Some are gone, some remain, and when they go, others will surely take their place." This 100th convention in 2023 is dedicated to all ARBA members, past and present, with Edward Stahl's faithful few pioneers making this gathering possible. We are creating history today. Let us enjoy this time, remember our past, and be a positive influence for the future of the American Rabbit Breeders Association.